Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2022-23 season. My name is Dan and today we are doing the Game Week 4 100 Experts videos, the video where we look at the trends among top FPL managers. What are they up to this week? Who are they transferring in? Who are they transferring out? Are they using any chips? Who are they captaining? Etc, etc, etc. So we can hopefully learn a little bit from these trends to make our own decisions in FPL. I like this video a lot. It's definitely the most helpful video I find making. It really helps my own team, my own decisions a lot. So guys, if you do enjoy this video as well, please do leave a like, please do subscribe if you're new around here as well. Without further ado guys, let's meet the experts for Game Week 4. Alrighty, here they are, 100 FPL experts, pundits, content creators, podders, bloggers, YouTubers, TikTokers, Instagrammers, all kinds of content creators and people who just know their stuff in general, veterans as well. Yeah, here they are. If you see these guys anywhere around the internet, make sure you drop them a follow. Make sure you go and check them out because they are all very, very good FPL managers that I have vetted all individually. And yeah, I just have so much respect for these guys. So thank you so much to everyone who has been helping out making these videos. Let's see what these 100 FPL managers are up to this week. So in general, 37% of them, so 37 out of 100, are making just one transfer this week. 23% are making 2 transfers, and 4% are making 3 transfers this week. So for the first time, we're actually seeing a little bit of a trend of people making 3 transfers. So far, not too many of our experts have made 3 transfers, but this week there is a few. 33%, so just under a third, are not making any transfers this week. And if you count people who are making luxury transfers, and there are a few making pretty luxury transfers this week, it actually seems like it's a week, ironically, after one of the most, crazy weeks in FPL for a long time. We're seeing a game week where a lot of our FPL experts are not panicking at all. They're not really interested in making wholesale changes to their teams. They're happy with their teams. They're confident in their team. So maybe that's a big message to take away, that 33% not making any transfers. Some others are just making bench transfers just because they don't want to burn a transfer. Maybe, after all, this might be one of those game weeks where it's best to just do nothing and not take away too much from last game week. And of course, as always, there's just a few people using their wildcard this week. So still not a major week for wildcards among experts, but just a couple, just trickling in, using it as and where they feel it is needed. So yeah, that's what the experts are up to in general. Let's see what the wider world, the casual, the normal FPL manager, what are they up to this week? Well guys, I've got on screen the 12 most popular Game Week 4 transfers among all FPL managers in the world, all 9 million plus players. We're almost getting towards 10 million FPL managers in the world, by the way, which is just crazy. But anyway, we're seeing Rodrigo top of the pile here by a long way. There's always a one player every game week that everyone seems to want, and this week it seems to be Rodrigo. Perisic is up there pretty high as well. Trippier as well, for over 400,000 transfers in for Trippier, which is quite significant. Tony is there. Saliba, Zaha. You're seeing in general that a lot of these players are players that just scored very high last week though. So I have to be honest with you, this week there's not going to be too much similarity between the, I don't know if I should say casual, but the normal, the general FPL manager compared to the expert FPL manager. There's actually quite a difference because the regular bog standard FPL manager usually makes transfers and just brings in whoever scored the most points last game week, whereas an FPL expert will think about the kind of the whole story of the situation really. So this week I have to say, because last week was so crazy, there is some significant dissimilarities between experts and normal managers. So first of all, let's have a look at some of the players who are popular among experts as well as the general populace of FPL. And they are Rodrigo, Perisic, Tony and Martinelli. So just 4 players that are in the top 12 most transferred in players in the world are also heavily transferred in by experts. Just 4, just 1/3. So that is quite interesting. Rodrigo, you can kind of understand why. Perisic, you can kind of understand why. Tony has done quite well. It's kind of been secretly the best forward, really, hasn't he? He's kind of been like just chipping away nicely and just getting FPL points every week. So he's been doing pretty amazingly. So a lot of people are actually changing formations in order to get Tony in, but we'll talk about that a little bit more shortly. And Martinelli as well. So a few of our experts are going for Martinelli this week. I should say that there are a few players that none of our experts are interested in at all. And they are Trippier, De Bruyne, Odegaard, and San Maximan. Easy for me to say. So yeah, I'm sure we've had a real recurring theme this week of me kind of talking about Odegaard as being a player that I'm definitely not interested in, that I would not be buying this game week. And I've had a lot of pushback in the comments with a lot of people saying, I think he will become good. I know there's nothing to back it up, but I think he will become good. Fair enough, if that's what you want to say. But once again, we are kind of seeing a trend here where FPL experts are just not going for Odegaard. They're not going for San Maximan. These players obviously did very well for one game week only. But these, it's very, very difficult to say that they're going to continue that based on just one game week's worth of data. It's just there's just not enough there for an FPL expert to really place that faith in a player. De Bruyne, there's just still no way of getting De Bruyne in. You're going to have to sacrifice Salah. I know you're going to sacrifice Salah when he's about to play Bournemouth. No, probably not. The only way you get De Bruyne in is if you sell Son, I suppose. And Trippier is kind of a don't buy, don't sell. I know a lot of our experts do still have Trippier in their team, but no one's really buying him, but no one's really selling him either. But yeah, the rest of these players, they were kind of transferred in by like one person each. So, Saliba, Zaha, Zinchenko, Jesus, they're not particularly interesting to experts, but not particularly disinterested either. So, maybe take from that what you will. Okay, among our experts, the most popular transfers out this game week, it seems to be Neto top of the pile by a long stretch. 64 of our FPL experts are making at least one transfer this week, and 1/3 of those are using their transfer to take out Neto. I know a lot of them took Neto out last week as well, so it does seem like there's a mass exodus on Neto, and it also looks like Neto might drop in price tonight. So I don't know if that's useful information to anyone, but he might drop to 5.3 million. Just saying. Saka as well, looking like he might get a second price drop before the Game Week 4 deadline. 10 people removing him. I think that's probably most of our Saka owners, to be honest, because Saka, he's just being sold by... there wasn't that many experts going for Saka in the first place. Most preferred Martinelli, but those of us who went for Saka, myself included, are finally jumping off Saka, leaving very few Saka owners remaining. So maybe if you are a Saka owner, now might be the time to just kind of give up on that one. Sad, but... you got to do what you got to do. A lot of people selling Archer, which is interesting. Some people are selling Archer just as a luxury transfer and selling him to another 4.5 million forward just so they don't burn a transfer, which is crazy. We've got a lot of people also changing formations and removing Archer and upgrading him to Tony and downgrading one of their other players in order to free up the money to do that. Bailey is still on his continued exodus from FPL Experts team. A lot of people transferred him out last week, even more transferring him out this week. And then a few other players, Walker, Haaland, which you probably didn't see coming, but we'll talk about that a little bit more shortly. Robertson, kind of expected, people just kind of giving up on the double Liverpool defence, although only 4 people removing him, so it's not like a mass exodus. Mount, Iverson, people giving up on the double Leicester goalkeeper situation as well. I can completely understand that, to be fair. And Diaz and De Silva at the bottom there as well. So, but certainly, it seems to be still midfielders are the players that are being transferred around the most. Neto, Saka, Bailey, all in the top 4 of players transferred out by experts. So yeah, it still seems to be midfield changes seem to be what we want to be doing right now. Let's have a look at the most popular transfers in. So, surprise, surprise, it is Rodrigo at the top by a long shot. So, almost half of our FPL experts making a transfer this week are bringing in Rodrigo this week. So, that's a lot. That's a lot of people bringing in Rodrigo. When you get something like this and you get a piece of data like this that so many people are doing exactly the same thing and they're good FPL managers and they're all kind of agreeing on one thing, that usually means that that's a very good transfer. So, guys, what I would do is, like I always say, look at this list. What you see on screen right now is your shopping list for Game Week 4. If you're looking for some new players, maybe one of the players on this list is the one for you, but Rodrigo seems to be miles ahead of all of the others. But after that, yes, we have got Perisic, a player who is, potentially might be injured. So just keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on press conferences. I would wait before pulling the trigger on Perisic personally until Conte's press conference. But if he is available, obviously we know he's going to be a phenomenal FPL asset. Martinelli, obviously a few people are looking to move Saka to Martinelli, myself included. I'm not going to lie. Tony, like I say, very popular transfer in this week among experts. People are just kind of seeing Tony and seeing that he's outscored scoring a lot of the midfielders and a lot of the defenders at a similar price, so why not get him in? He's got some great fixtures coming up as well, that's for sure. Harry Kane is got 5 transfers in. Did you see that one coming? Maybe not. Dunk, you know, great 4.5 million defenders to go for. People kind of liking the look of Brighton's upcoming fixtures, particularly with their defensive acumen, and that's why Robert Sanchez is in there as well as the goalkeeper of choice for the week. So if you are looking to make a goalkeeper transfer, Sanchez is going to be the one for you. And Aronson is a kind of a cheap-ish Leeds midfielder to go for. If you can't afford Rodrigo, maybe you can go for Aronson instead. And finally, Stansfield, a 4.5 million forward, who seems to be the best 4.5 million forward to go for right now. A few people are just making that luxury transfer, transferring their current 4.5 million forward out and moving it to Stansfield because they have 2 transfers already to use. They don't want to use any. You either use them or you lose them. You can't carry to 3 transfers, so they just use that spare transfer, if you like, and just do a luxury one like that. So yeah, few people doing these luxury transfers, which fair play to them. But certainly Rodrigo, Perisic, Martinelli, Tony, these are the standout players to buy for game week 4. So how are we going to do that? Okay, well, I mean, Neto to Rodrigo seems to be a really, really popular transfer among experts. Some of our experts already have the money to do that. Some of them are needing to make 2 transfers in order to free up some funds to make that upgrade from Neto to Rodrigo. Now, one way you can free up funds is to sell Saka if you have him still in your team. Saka down to Rodrigo works perfectly, but also Saka down to Martinelli to make sure you are still in on those Arsenal attackers, you know, because having Jesus is kind of not enough anymore. Everyone has Jesus already. The only way you can really get on Arsenal's attack is to get a second Arsenal attacker because everyone has Jesus, so we're all gaining points there together. So yeah, Saka is a good way of freeing up some funds, but certainly Rodrigo is the primary target, whether you go Neto to Rodrigo, Saka to Rodrigo, even Leon Bailey to Rodrigo. If you can free up enough money, I know Bailey's sort of 4.9 million, but if you can free up enough money to upgrade Bailey to Rodrigo, then I think that's pretty good. You know, Saka to Martinelli as well. So maybe even if you have like Saka and Bailey, maybe make the double transfer and get in Rodrigo and Martinelli. But, you know, I'm sure you guys can work it out from there. Let's suggest some transfers in some different positions other than midfield. Alright, so Perisic is obviously very popular. The most popular transfer out for Perisic is Walker. So if you're willing to sacrifice Walker and go to Perisic, then that is obviously an option for you. But other people may be considering Robertson to Perisic. I don't know how I feel about selling Robertson ahead of Bournemouth, but it's no secret that Liverpool have just not been very good defensively so far this season. So maybe you are feeling like making the Robertson to Perisic move, and that does, in fairness, free up a little bit of your cash as well. Archer up to Tony. We did speak about that. You are going to have to, again, free up some money somehow in order to make that quite significant upgrade from Archer to Tony. Perhaps a change in formation, you know, downgrading one of your defenders to a 4 million defender, downgrading one of your midfielders to a 4.5 million midfielder in order to upgrade Archer to Tony. So yeah, maybe that's something you can consider if you're willing to do 2 transfers, whether that means taking a -4 or not. That's a different situation. And finally, the transfer that I know people are going to find controversial, but 5 of our experts are making a switch from Haaland to Harry Kane this game week. And even more, I think there was about 5 more that said they're thinking about it, but they might wait till next game week. And basically the reason is because Pep Guardiola has made some comments saying that when Man City are playing 2 games a week, Haaland is going to rotate with Alvarez, and Alvarez is going to play half of the games and Haaland's going to play the other half of the game. Now, we know game week 5 is just a couple of days after game week 4. So this game week, in a way, is Haaland's first kind of rotation risk game. After this game week, he becomes kind of rotation risk territory. So some people are a little bit worried about that. They like Kane's fixture a little bit more than Haaland's fixtures, and they are worried about the rotation as well. So they're going in 1 game week early and making that switch. But certainly, I think this is a move a lot of people are going to be thinking about in the near future. Right, captain picks for game week 4. This won't take very long at all, I don't think, because it's one of those game weeks where it's pretty obvious what we need to do. Yeah, I always say that if there is a split, if we see, you know, the top captain pick is kind of maybe 60% or less among experts, then there probably is a little bit of scope to go a bit differential. But in those game weeks where there is just a clear front runner, and there was only 4 different players this week that were chosen as captains by experts, and 88% are going for Mo Salah, that is huge. That really is huge. And when we see something like that, when we see a trend where good FPL managers are all coming to the same conclusion, it's usually because that is the logical conclusion. That is the, I don't want to say correct conclusion, because you never know in football what's going to happen. You know, for all we know, a random player, you know, Tyrone Mings might score a hat-trick and get a clean sheet and become the highest FPL point scorer of all time. But, you know, for argument's sake, if we're kind of looking at the odds and trying to make predictions, then Salah, the best player in the Premier League, or the best FPL asset in the Premier League, on paper, you would say, against the weakest team in the Premier League on paper at home. This kind of seems like a bit of a no-brainer. No matter what you think about Liverpool's form right now, you know, we already know that Salah doesn't have to play well to get FPL assets, FPL, you know, goals and assists. That's kind of happened. That's been the case for years now. Like, even when Salah is not on it, he still seems to get points because that's just what he does. He's just the star man at Liverpool, right? So 88% people making the very obvious decision, best FPL asset of all time against the weakest team in the Premier League whilst he's playing at home is kind of a no-brainer, right? But if you do want to go differential, there are a few people going a little bit different. 7% going for Jesus against Fulham at home. We know how good Jesus has been, even though he didn't get the points really in Game Week 1 and 3. In Game Week 2, he certainly did get the points. And in 1 and 3, he looked incredible and looked like he could have got so many more FPL points. So Jesus has got, you know, there are more points coming for him. Don't you worry about that. And Fulham at home is not a bad fixture at all, really, is it? We've got Harry Kane and Son. So the Spurs attackers, the Spurs premiums, I suppose, they are pretty popular as well at 4% and 1% respectively. Son at 1% is not really a trend, so I don't really think we look into that 1% on Son too much. It's not a trend, so yeah, probably can ignore that. But 4% on Kane, maybe that's worth thinking about. You know, 4% of experts are going for Kane against Forest, then maybe that's not too bad. I mean, it's a very good fixture, and we know that Kane has a knack of scoring a lot of goals. That's kind of what he's famous for, right? So yeah, these are your top captain picks. If I'm to give you honest advice based on this data, it is just go for Salah. Don't even think about doing anything else. It's a bit of a no-brainer week. But if you really do fancy something different, then I suppose Jesus and Kane would be the second and third best ones to go for. But only if you're feeling really different. Anyone outside of this can pretty much be ignored for captaincy this week, I think. But there we go. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you did enjoy it, please do leave a like. Please do subscribe as well if you are new around here. Don't forget to check out Fantasy Football Hub. Link in the description if you want to get 30% off your subscription. I'm sure you guys know enough about Fantasy Football Hub already, but it's just a fantastic service that you absolutely must go check out. And there's free stuff on there as well if you just want to go check out the free stuff as well. But yeah, we've got team selection video coming up tomorrow where I'm going to be revealing my team. I have already actually made my transfer, so very excited to show you what I have done with my team. I may have or not on. I may or may not have taken a -4, but we'll talk about that tomorrow. Thank you so much once again for watching today's video, guys, and I will see you later, mates. Bye-bye.